Students, let us continue the discussion of interest in theory of distribution. In the present session, we see liquidity theory of interest. In the previous session, we saw clonable fund theory. In present session, we see liquidity theory of interest. The determinant of equilibrium interest rate in the classical model are the real factors of supply of saving and demand for investment. On the other hand, Keynesian analysis determinants of interest are the monetary factors. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದಂಥ ಸಾಂಪ್ರದಾಯಿಕ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ನೈಜ ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನು ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಿದರೆ ಉಳಿತಾಯದ ಪೂರೈಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಹೂಡಿಕೆಯ ಬೇಡಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇನ್ಸ್ರವರ ಈ ಒಂದು ದ್ರವ್ಯದೊಲವಿನ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಡ್ಡಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ದ್ರವ್ಯದೊಲವಿನ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣಕಾಸಿನ ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನು ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Keynes analysis concentrates on the demand for and supply of money as a determinant of interest rate. Here, Keynes ರವರ ವಿಶ್ಲೇಷಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣದ ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಪೂರೈಕೆ ಅಂಶಗಳ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಡ್ಡಿಯ ದರ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು Keynes, the rate of interest is purely a monetary phenomenon. Keynes ರವರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಬಡ್ಡಿಯ ದರ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಶುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಹಣಕಾಸಿನ ವಿದ್ಯಮಾನ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. Interest is a price paid for borrowed funds. People like to keep cash with them rather than investing cash in assets. Thus, there is a preference for liquid cash. ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಂದರೆ ನಗದು ಹಣಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಹೇಳಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. People out of their income intend to save a part. How much of their resources will be held in the form of cash and how much will be spent depend upon what Keynes calls liquidity preferences. Cash being the most liquid asset. People prefer cash and interest is the reward for parting liquidity. However, rate of interest in Keynesian theory is determined by the demand for money and supply of money. ಅಂದರೆ ಜನ ಹೇಗೆ ನಗದು ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಕೇನ್ಸ್ರವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮನಿ. ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮನಿ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ with a demand for a commodity that people consume. But since money is not consumed, the demand for money is demand to hold an asset. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಹೂಡಿಕೆಯ ಅಥವಾ ಆಸ್ತಿಯ ಉದ್ಯಮವನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಳಸ್ತಾರೆ. The desire for liquidity or demand for money arises because of three motives: transaction motive, precautionary motive and speculative motive. ಅಂದರೆ ಹಣದ ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹಣಕ್ಕೆ ದ್ರವ್ಯದರವು ಮೂರು ಕಾರಣಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕೇನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ವ್ಯವಹಾರದ ಉದ್ದೇಶ, ಮುನ್ನೆಚ್ಚರಿಕೆಯ ಉದ್ದೇಶ, ಸಟ್ಟ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರದ ಉದ್ದೇಶ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮನಿ. ಮನಿ ಈಸ್ ನೀಡೆಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎ ಡೇ ಟು ಡೇ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ಆ್ಯಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದಿ receipt of income and spending, money is demanded. Incomes are earned usually at the end of each month or fortnight or week, but individuals spend their income to make day-to-day transaction. Since payments are spending are made throughout a period and receipts or incomes are received after a period of time, an individual need active balance in the form of cash to finance his transactions. This is known as transaction demand for money or need-based money, which directly depends on the level of income of an individual and businessman. People with higher income keep more liquid money at hand meet their need-based transactions. In other words, transaction demand for money is an increasing function of money income. ಹಣದ ಆದಾಯ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾದಂತೆ ಜನ ಹೇಗೆ ನಗದು ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಸಿಂಬಾಲಿಕಲಿ ವಿ ಸಿ TDM is equal to F of Y. TDM means transaction demand for money. Y stands for money income. ಅಂದರೆ ಆದಾಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನಿಂತಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರಿಕಾಷನರಿ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮನಿ. ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ಸರ್ಟೈನ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೈ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಮೀಟ್ unforeseen contingencies like sickness, death, accident, danger of unemployment, etc. The amount of money held under this motive called idle balance also depends on the level of money income of an individual. People with higher income can afford to keep more liquid money to such emergencies. This means that this kind of demand for money also increasing functions of money income. The relationship between precaution demand for money and the volume of income is normally a direct one. PDM is equal to FFY. Like TDM, PDM also depends upon income. Speculative demand for money. This sort of money is really Keynes' contribution. The speculative motive refers to the desire to hold one's assets in liquid form, to take advantages of market movements regarding the uncertainty, expectation of future changes of rate of interest. The cash held under this motive is used to make speculative gains dealing in bonds and securities whose prices and rate of interest fluctuate inversely. If bond prices are expected to rise, people will now buy bonds and sell when their prices are to have a capital gain. In such a situation, bond is more attractive than cash. Contrarily, if bond prices are expected to fall in future, people will now sell bonds to avoid capital loss. In such a situation, cash is more attractive than ಅಂದರೆ ನಗದು ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ಭವಿಷ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳನ್ನು ಗಮನದಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಯುಲೇಟಿವ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Thus, at low rate of interest, liquidity preference is high, and high rate of interest, securities are attractive. Now it is clear that speculative demand for money varies inversely with rate of interest. So SDM is equal to F of R. The first two motives are depend on income, but the third motive is depend on interest rate, where Y is rate of interest. So total demand for money is the sum of three types of demand, that is DM is equal to DDM plus PDM plus SDM. The demand for money is a negative slope because the inverse relation between speculative demand for money and the rate of interest. However, the negative sloping liquidity preference curve becomes perfectly elastic at a low rate of interest. According to Keynes, there is a floor interest rate below which the rate of interest cannot fall. The minimum rate of interest indicates the absolute liquidity preference of the people. That is what Keynes called liquidity trap. In figure 6.20, DM is the liquidity preference curve. Here, at minimum rate of interest, R is minimum, the curve is perfectly elastic. Here, however, this is a ceiling rate interest rate. Say R is equal to R maximum, above which cannot rise. Thus, interest fluctuates between R max and R minimum. Money supply. The supply of money, particularly depends upon the policy of central bank of a country. Money supply curves has been drawn perfectly inelastic as it institutionally given. Determination of interest rate. According to Keynes, the rate of interest is determined by demand for money and the supply of money. OM is the total amount of money supplied by a central bank. At point E, demand for money becomes equal to supply of money. Thus, equilibrium interest rate determined at R. Now, suppose that the rate of interest is greater than R. In such a situation, supply of money will exceed demand for money. People will purchase more securities. Consequently, its price will rise, interest rate will fall, and until demand for money becomes equal to the supply of money. On the other hand, if the rate of interest becomes less than or demand for money will exceed supply of money, people will sell their securities. Price of security will tumble and rate of interest will rise until we reach point E. Thus, the rate of interest determined by the monetary variables. So, limitations of this theory. Even Keynes' liquidity preference theory is not free from criticism. Firstly, classical neoclassical theories. Keynes' theory is indeterminate one. Keynes charged classical theory on the ground of zero level of employment. Same applies to Keynes theory since it assumes given level of income. Keynes theory suggests that DM and SM determine the rate of interest. Without knowing the level of income, we cannot know transaction demand money as well as speculative demand. Obviously, as income changes, liquidity preference schedule changes. Therefore, one cannot determine the rate of interest until the level of income known, and the level of income cannot be determined until the rate of interest known. Hence, indeterminacy. Hicks and Hansen solved this problem in their ISL analysis by determining simultaneously rate of interest and the level of income. It is indeed true also that the neoclassical authors or the proponents of lower funds theory earlier made attempts to integrate both real facts and the monetary factors in the interest rate determination, but not with great success. Secondly, Keynes committed error rejecting real factors as the determinants of interest rate. Thirdly, Keynes theory gives a choice between holding risky bonds and riskless cash. An individual holds either bond or cash or never both. In real world, it is the uncertainty or risk that induces the individual to hold both. So we conclude that Despite these criticisms, Keynes' liquidity preference theory tells a lot on income, output, and employment of a country. His basic purpose was to demonstrate that capitalist economy can never reach full employment due to existence of liquidity trap. Thus, the liquidity trap has been overemphasized by Keynes and demolished the classical conclusion of goal of full employment. Further, his theory has an important policy implication. A central bank is incapable of reviewing capital extraction during depression because of liquidity trap. Students, in this session we learn to understand liquidity theory of interest.